That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Shout Factory's box set Blu-ray release of the Omen series, which the street date was October 15th.
You're late. Here it is. It's beautiful.
It's all for you, Damien. I think the problem with box sets is...
I also have to reference Janet Jackson because you said all for you.
Okay, yes. There you go. But you know, like the Critters box set or the House box set or all these box sets, like you really see how things get run into the ground.
Yeah.
So I made you start out with the remake so we could get that out of the way.
Because we knew that was garbage.
It
and
is.
I believe I also saw it June 6th, 2006.
I saw it in Amsterdam on 666.
Yeah.
And it was no better there.
No.
But yeah.
So my overall impression of the series, I guess, is to keep it positive, it was interesting 1 through 4. It does have a logical sort of like arc.
Sure.
So I like that versus something like A Nightmare on Elm Street or like they're all sort of like they could be
jumbled and
yeah, they could just be a standalone film. These do kind of all link together in a way that does make some sense,
especially for all having different directors.
Sure.
As well. So the first film, 1976, The Omen, it was kind of at the end of the demonically possessed children days. Rosemary's Baby was 68 and Exorcist was 73, so The Omen was 76. Richard Donner directed it, who would go on to do Superman with Christopher Reeve, and then of course all 4 Lethal Weapon movies and a lot of other things. But I was trying hard to think of what did Richard Donner do before The Omen. He did a lot of television and some sporadic filmmaking. His last film before this was 1970's London Affair, where Charles Bronson plays a 38-year-old porn writer who marries a 16-year-old. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to digress. I couldn't even believe that existed.
So The Omen, what is it about?
It's about the Antichrist has come. Apparently, there's a constant cycle of Christ and Antichrist being born, is what I get from after the series ends. But the Antichrist is born in Rome, and Gregory Peck is this political figure whose wife, played by Lee Grant, has a miscarriage in a Roman hospital while they're there. And he is told by a priest that says, hey, we got this kid that was born the same time yours died and his mother's dead, so take him. And he does, because apparently Lee Grant is a fragile woman who can't...
She's portrayed as someone who wouldn't be able to handle
that news. So as the kid grows, they discovered that he's
different,
malevolent.
While the mom in particular realizes that there's something not right, and her husband refuses to tell her the truth, which is this is not her baby. Even
though there's a priest that comes to, then they go to London where he takes this...
he's like an ambassador, like a diplomat or something.
And we're made to understand that he is on a political progression that will eventually land him the presidential...
He has aspirations to be president
of the United States.
So he's reluctant to really, having problems with his child are not an option.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, Damien is a little evil thing that has a dog as a companion and
as a
familiar who kind of does his work for him.
And
so a very famous scene from this film right in the beginning is that Damien is the little boy who's adopted by this family. His nanny is visited by the dog, and then immediately, during his birthday party, goes to the roof of their mansion and shouts "This is all for you, Damien," and hangs herself in front of all these kids
at a very mommy dearest kind of birthday party.
Yeah, so that scene I do that's a pretty famous scene.
Yes, and also the baboon scene in the zoo.
Yeah, so then Damien has his dog as a helper, and then Mia Farrow...
No, Billie Whitelaw.
Wait, who? Oh, that's in the remake. Shit.
No, an excellent Billie Whitelaw.
Yeah, she's much better than Mia Farrow.
As Mrs. Baylock.
She plays his nanny she is his nanny after the initial one hangs herself, and she is an apostate from hell.
Yes.
Who is there to assist Damien. And they just wreak all kinds of havoc. Ultimately... well, I just froze. Ultimately, he
What?
who's the dad?
Gregory Peck.
Is convinced that Damien is the devil
And tries to kill him.
and tries to kill him, but is unsuccessful. And that's how the film ends, with the U.S. president holding Damien's hand at his dad's funeral.
So yes, and so that film was a major hit, and then the Damien Omen II was made.
So we see Damien as an adolescent.
And that was directed by Don Taylor.
Who did other things?
He was actually more of an actor, but he did an Islander Dr. Moreau remake with Burt Lancaster. But Mike Hodges was set to direct it, and he was fired. Mike Hodges is probably, I guess, best known for his Get Carter film with Michael Caine.
Okay.
Which was later remade with Sylvester Stallone. Don Taylor ended up being the director, and it starred William Holden and Lee Grant as the aunt and uncle of Damien. William Holden was originally supposed to be an Omen and passed, and so he jumped at this opportunity, apparently. And he plays the brother of Gregory Peck's character. So they inherit Damien as a teenager, played by Jonathan Scott Taylor, who's Brazilian. Actually.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a very impressive supporting cast. Lance Henriksen, Sylvia Sidney has some delicious little scenes, and Lou Ayres. And this ended up being Lou Ayres' last film. He was, of course, an Oscar nominee for Johnny Belinda.
Okay. So the Omen II introduces us to like Thorn Industries.
Yes.
So Damien, when Gregory Peck dies, then it's his brother who like adopts him. So that's what we see in Damien, or in the Omen II.
So you can kind of discount him being with the president at the end of the first one.
Right.
Whatever.
But so apparently this family is like, they have, what is their industry? Like some kind of industrial, they're like very extremely wealthy.
It's just this film makes it clear like this is old money.
Old money. Damien is sent to like a military academy for rich kids, and
with his
cousin slash brother.
William Holden's too old for this role, by the way. Have that teenage kid, the biological.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but this film is a lot more formulaic. It's just Damien like possessing everyone and causing everyone to do bad things.
Oh, I feel like, because they're both Lees. Lee Remick is the mother in the first one, and Lee Grant.
Okay. I don't recall. You didn't say Lee Remick in the first one.
I don't think I did, but I like Lee Remick a
lot. So I didn't like the second one as much, although I thought the boy did a very good job. Like his acting, I thought was...
He's okay.
I thought he was good.
Sure.
Because he's supposed to play, I thought he played it like how, like it was appropriate.
Well, because he's Lance Henriksen at the military academy lets it be known that you're the Antichrist, and gives him a Bible to read up on himself. But it's pretty silly, and
it's just back-to-back scenes of him like causing chaos.
It's very dull.
It is. It reminded me of like
The Good Son.
The Good Son.
Yeah. Well, there's a scene on the ice. That's how Lou Ayres
dies.
That's very much like
but not as amusing. But again, I thought the boy did a good job, and but still kind of a boring film. It was hard for me to sit through.
And so that was 78. And so then the third film, the Omen III, The Final Solution, which was...
Final Solution? That's what it's called?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, very Nazi. Directed by Graham Baker, who notably went on to do Alien Nation, which is a cult hit in 88, which apparently is supposed to be remade by Jeff Nichols. Hasn't happened yet. Anyway, Sam Neill, he did this the same year as starring in Zulawski's Possession, one of my favorite films of all time, is now the adult Damien.
Who runs Thorn Industries.
Who's
super rich and powerful.
And now the new Christ child will be
Nazarene.
Born. The Nazarene has been born somewhere in...
the world.
In London.
Oh, in London.
And he orders his disciples to kill all the babies born
on March 24th.
From midnight on March 23rd to the wee hours of March 24th. So all these babies are getting killed, and
male babies,
and all these extravagant like David Fincher, Benjamin Button ways.
Yeah.
Like all the accidents happen in these films.
Every accident you can think of.
And it's also very dull.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. So I guess my question, since I'm not a religious person and I don't know the Bible, doesn't the devil have powers? Like, can't he just make things happen? I don't understand why he needs people to do things for him.
He does make things happen, like knots come undone on things and cause knives to fall and
Right, but then it's like, I don't know.
Then we were talking during this one. Why would I'm not religious at all. I'm actually aggressively atheist, but God's just letting Satan kill all these babies.
It's very confusing.
He just kill all these babies.
My biggest issue,
like Willow, like the movie Willow, they do that now too, or Ten Commandments.
My biggest issue is Damien's like administrative assistant is also an apostate from hell. And then towards the end, we understand that he has a son who was born on March 24th.
Also too old to have it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so like this man is involved in helping, Damien kill all these kids, and he knows the reason why, because his boss is the devil. But then when Damien says, kill your son, he won't do it.
Oh no. And he says, in the name of God.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Actually, all the scripts are playing with language, religious language, to be funny. Like, he's a godsend. Like, okay.
Yeah, but it's not clever enough to be ironic. Anyway,
then we're at 1991.
Well, wait, so then... Oh, I'm sorry. Well, so then Damien in the third one, adult Damien, he is unsuccessful
in killing
the Nazarene child.
Of course.
However,
we'd be today without that.
Right, but then that's not how the film ends. Like the Nazarene child isn't responsible for his death.
Oh, the ending is terrible.
The ending's really bad because his girlfriend, who's like a reporter,
is a journalist, an
atheist journalist. She is convinced that he's the devil, and she stabs him literally in the back, and then at the very end he dies, and then like the image
an apparition of Christ
appears in the end.
So I think the end of this film made me feel like, is this Christian propaganda?
It felt like
I was
probably what they show at like Scientology.
Yeah.
Recruitment camps. But anyway, so then the fourth one is called
Omen IV: The Awakening,
which was a made-for-TV movie.
Not based on Kate Chopin's The Awakening.
By far the most amusing of the five, I think.
Yeah, the score by Jonathan.
The score is
Scheller.
whimsical. It sounds like it belonged in like a 90s sitcom, like a family-friendly sitcom.
Yeah. Co-directed by Jorge Montesi and a Frenchman named Dominique Othenin-Girouard. The notable thing about Dominique is he directed 1999's Halloween 5.
Hey.
So here we are in another major horror genre.
Oh, this
franchise.
review is so long. Keep going.
Anyway, it stars Faye Grant, who was notable of V fame and who was married to Stephen Collins for years, who she exposed as a
Raging homosexual?
Pedophile.
Oh, same thing. Just kidding.
Because, Lady doth protest too much. She was very conservative.
Oh.
Anyway, she's somewhere on the spectrum of Annette O'Toole and Catherine O'Hara for me. Very compelling to watch, actually.
And I think she looks like...
Oh, you thought Amy Yazbek, another from Problem Child.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she is beautiful.
She's beautiful.
I liked watching her. Also stars Michael Lerner as a private detective, a character actor you've seen in hundreds of things.
This film's very campy, but...
It's about two lawyers, a power couple, that adopt a mysterious orphan.
Well, this film is basically The Omen.
It's a remake of The Omen.
But with a girl child instead of a boy child.
Yeah, played by Asia Vieira.
Who I thought looked like her appearance is very appropriate.
Yes.
Because she's kind of a funny looking adolescent girl who looks like a little bitch. And
this is also very good. Like, it's very beat by beat of the original Omen, and
if Lifetime redid it.
And also like Good Son, Bad Seed, all of those things come to mind. But yeah, if Lifetime did.
Yeah, it's campy and like...
It definitely, compared to the previous two films, goes by a lot quicker.
It's more fun.
It is more
But
fun.
it's definitely not scary or creepy.
No.
Yeah.
But you can see how it got run into the ground.
You know how they're like those movies like Stan Helsing or...
Van Helsing?
No, you know how they do those camp or those comedic remakes of those films? Mm-hmm. This feels like that of The Omen.
Yeah.
But
Because we have to go through the same things of convincing people that don't believe in God to be like, oh, there's an Antichrist.
And then anyway, there's no point describing that one because it's the same as the first one.
Yeah, and then in
the last
2006,
one. Okay.
John Moore directed The Omen again, and we have Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles as the unfortunate political couple, and Mia Farrow in one of her final on-screen appearances.
Who looks great.
Who looks great, yeah, with squid hair, but yeah, looks great.
So this film is pretty much like shot for shot, but they try to amp it up with 2006 CGI, and
it doesn't work.
And it does
good.
not work.
And the score by Marco Beltrami, who's a very notable composer, very over the top. Every scene is just
and the iconic
menace.
moments from the original are redone in the 2006 version in a way that have less impact.
Oh yeah, especially the zoo scene.
Like the zoo scene is like, yeah, has no impact.
With gorillas.
With men in gorilla suits, and then
Breaking zoo glass.
the nanny hanging herself at the party is almost comical because when she drops, there's like a pause, and then one woman screams,
and then there's pandemonium.
Yeah.
Whereas in the original, people just kind of are stunned.
They were
shocked.
stunned, and then they grab their children. So yeah, the remake is
Pointless.
Pointless. I would even it's so bad that maybe it is worth a watch.
Well, if you're fans of anybody, like I like Mia Farrow a lot.
I like Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, he's good.
But it was hard to sit through because it is so bad.
Yeah.
So overall, there is a character named who's the guy who's like the religious archaeologist, Bugenhagen.
Oh, Bugenhagen.
There's a character that's featured in the first 3 or all 4.
No, he's not featured in all 4. He's featured in the first 2.
Oh,
And maybe
he begins the second one. But don't they mention his name in the 3rd and the 4th?
Not in the 4th.
No.
Sure.
Anyway, there's a character named Bugenhagen who's like an archaeologist who specializes in this like religious artifacts.
He's the one that has the tools that are necessary to kill Damien.
The tools and understands the lore of this, what's happening. So I thought that kind of tied them together, but overall, this franchise is really weak. Because they took the original that I don't think is. It's not as great as like Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist.
No, but it's very much of that period, and I caught it young enough as a child where there's a lot of nostalgia for that film for me. But I would go to garage sailing with my mom, and all these fucking Christian households would have yellow tattered copies of Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and The Omen. So all these motherfuckers are reading.
So The Omen, what would you give it?
3.5 out of 5. I think the atmosphere is great. It looks great.
I would give it 2.5 out of 5.
Ooh, okay.
Because I just think like Rosemary's Baby.
Billie Whitelaw, though.
Which one is she?
The nanny.
Yeah, she is very good. But okay, the second one?
1.5 out of 5.
I would give it 1.5 out of 5.
The third
one? The third one?
0.5.
What was the third one about again?
With Sam Neill, the final
Sam Neill?
conflict.
Yeah, I would give it 1.5 out of 5.
Oh, that's generous.
Well, Sam Neill's kind of amusing to me.
Yeah.
Because he's making very, like, bitchy faces.
He's very bitchy.
Yeah. And then the fourth one?
1.5 out of 5.
I would give it 2 out of 5. That one, actually, I thought, was entertaining. And then the remake?
0.5 out of 5.
I would give that 0.5 out of 5.
And then the disc set overall is very entertaining. I'd say 3 out of 5.
Yeah, and the restoration, like, the video quality is very good.
The first one, Omen, I think only the Omen is restored.
Oh, it's only, yeah, well, it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of the original, I feel like you would be disappointed.
Watching them all back to back, it kind of drains.
I would just buy the first one on, like, the restored version on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But watching them all in the span of, like, 4 days really made me... I was disappointed.
Yeah. Don't have to watch it again for a while.
No. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Thanks.